Hello, everybody, or should I say a good evening? Welcome back to another episode of Nick Wonga. What is this
Pre-match
called?
Muti.
Muti, yeah.
Yeah, gentlemen,
Yeah.
as you can see, we've got Wonga Denga, the Dengosaurus, and Nick Stothard, the King of the North in the house, and of course, I'm your host, Cloudy, or you can call me Cloudy or Brr. Obviously, today, 15 games have been played, and Arsenal fans are happy, ladies and gentlemen. Just in case you noticed that, despite their poor English League Cup showing, they did have a good 1-0 victory over Chelsea, and they still top the log, so good news for them. We've got the Saudis, Toon
Yes.
Army, making it 4 wins in a row, sitting pretty on third, scoring 11 goals, I think it is, in 4 games. Something I don't think you've seen in a long time there, Nick. And then,
Yeah.
obviously, it's no coincidence that Mr. Good Evening did not give Man United a good evening, and Celo is not with us tonight, just in case you're wondering there. And then, of course, the Liverpool. There's a lot to talk from a Liverpool perspective, largely regarding FSG wanting to put up the club for sale, and then, of course, we're going to finish off today with a bit of a World Cup chat and your predictions. Wonga Denga, Nick Stothard, gentlemen, how's your day been so far?
Hey man, my day was it was busy. It was busy. All smiles. I actually get now to taunt the kids, eh? Before last year I was quiet. I never used to ask the kids what team you support, but now I'm buzzing there, asking the kids what team they support. They're not happy with me because I'm telling them we're currently the best team in England, and no one's happy with me at all. But yeah, it's at least I've
Wonga,
got a place to
Wonga,
stand.
just staying on there, Nick, don't you think it's quite funny that it's only taken him, 2.5 years for his team to make the top of the log, and now his internet connection suddenly works a lot better? What's going on
Yeah.
there?
All of a sudden, and his screen is a lot clearer. I think he's getting excited. Maybe he's got some budget now. There's Stan Kroenke. Is pushing you to improve your feed there, Wonga, just because you're on top.
To be fair, he's not the only one, Nick. Both of you, from where we started to where the two of you are sitting right now, holy moly! Like the
Yeah,
two
look,
of you
they gave him a green screen. They gave him a green screen there. Check it out. They haven't given me one yet.
Nah.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
just
see where the money's at.
listen. It's exciting times, I think, for both of us. But I think there's a I don't know Wonga, and I think Wonga's lying if he doesn't agree with me now. But I just want to enjoy it while it lasts, because it can. Listen. It can. The wheels can come
what
off
it
very
lost,
quickly.
Nick. You got a bottomless pit of green,
Yeah.
not just the kit, not
Listen,
just the support,
listen,
but
Claudio,
the
Claudio. I'm talking about the right now, the here and now. I think, in particular, obviously it would be great if we finish off in the top 4, but the likelihood is still probably slim, I would say. And for Arsenal to win the league, realistically, is the chances are there, but like I said to you, the wheels can fall off.
Look,
Listen, I know the long term for us, we in a great space,
Yeah.
but it's human nature. We want instant success, so yeah.
I
Also,
I agree with you on that
gentlemen,
one,
look,
and Nick.
Wonga, before you start chatting, we've got a name here who's been absent for a long time. He's just said hi, gents. Look at
Hey,
Yeah,
this.
Booms.
I think it's
Where you been,
because
Booms?
that Todd Bowley took over the team, so he's obviously not been too happy with that and probably taken
He
his
don't
foot
like no
off the
corn
football.
dogs. He doesn't like corn dogs. They're being thrown around at his stadium at with all the blue kits. No. Gents, before we continue, I just need to tell everyone, if you haven't done the right thing, don't forget to, of course. Nick had it on cue. Right, we're just going
Right.
to move on and we're going to talk about what we do. Obviously, because we've got one show and this is pre-match Muti brought to you by Goalloungetv, what we're going to do is we're going to kick off the first game, and that's the big game. That's the big game why Wonga's coming smiling. It is obviously the result over Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge, and it is a big one because it was a good test, not so much for Chelsea's sake, but for Arsenal's sake, and they still top the log. Wonga, how are you feeling about all of this?
No, I'm feeling great, man. I think it was a good result. The performance of the team as well. I think everyone, Gary Neville, even admitted, that it's exactly what Nick is saying, is that you feel like the wheels will fall off at some point, but the performance that they put in on the day tells you that, and these are still the words of Gary Neville, is that the performance on the day does tell you that they are contending for it. But they most likely
Gary Neville,
will
man, that
finish.
guy's bipolar. He's clickbait. That's all he is.
Yeah.
So don't take his
Yeah.
word as a pinch of salt there, Wangadinga.
Yeah, but I mean, what he was saying, I'm just saying because he's also it's where I saw it from, and I had them, the same opinion. Is that you do feel the wheels will fall off, but definitely they get a top 4 finish, and like even he was saying as well, that check Jason. Look,
Jason,
guys,
Jason, can you see how clear his picture is? It's the clearest this man's been throughout this whole time we've done Goal Lounge TV. He's even got a Wi-Fi booster in his house. Now that his team's topping the log, continue. Sorry, Wonga. Look, even Pools is saying, Wonga Shaka, Wonga Shaka. Look, Captain Shaka.
And it's what I like. I don't know. Sometimes it scares me, when they pass it back. I've never. Hey, Arjun, you there? You see Arsenal that we're on the top, eh? We're on the top. Yeah, long time. So long. We've climbed so many places. But you see the way we play in Claudio. I don't know. Sometimes it's scary, but I like it. They're playing from the back. There's a lot of confidence in the team, but we absolutely dominated Chelsea. I mean, you could literally say that Chelsea were not there. And it's also one of those things. I think it was last year, the year before. We beat the Tottenham as well, who were good on form. We beat them 3-0. And you ask yourself the question: was it a good performance by Arsenal, or was it really a poor showing by the other team? I mean, second half they did come out, they tried, but again we kept it going, and we did mention last. Sorry, I have to read this guy saying for how long, Wonga? Aston is like an elephant on top of a tree. You don't know how it got out, but it's gonna fall down. Yeah, I do. Look, I mean, sorry, let me not jump things here, but going according to the game, I think we William Saliba, I mentioned last week, was our, I would say, what word did I use now? I don't remember what word I use now, but he was impact player for this, impact signing for this year, and he did well. He and again in that match, he did very well. Gave us a clean sheet, and if I'm looking now, like I know I'm just answering what Arjun was saying there. I do think. I did mention it before that if we had played Man City, I think we would have gotten a loss and maybe would have started something for us. I think it was a blessing that now we play them after the World Cup. We've managed to keep it. It's given us a nice record. I do think they'll beat us. I do think Man City will probably take the league. And yes, Nick, I am enjoying the moment. Like it's to be stupid for me not to be smiling now. I'm rubbing it in. I am also hoping that it continues until the end, because that'll be even better for me. I don't think you guys will enjoy me if we do win the league. So you better hope it doesn't happen. What is Jason saying? Arteta needs a 47% win ratio from now until the end of the season. Yeah, it's difficult. Liverpool did it last year and still didn't win the league.
No, he's saying
it's difficult.
He's saying top 4.
Huh?
He just needs.
What?
He just says, top 4. Not.
Oh yeah, but I think we'll do it. I think we'll do it.
But that's fair. It's good. I mean, it's quite nice that you've come in here. We've got 1 week before the World Cup, and obviously one more fixture before the World Cup breaks. And we've got a couple of regulars in the house, so we appreciate all of you, gentlemen. Thank you for coming back.
Yes.
But on the other side of the coin, there, Nick. This side of the coin, Pumza's side of the coin. I mean, Nick, what's going on here, bro? Absolute shambles. What's going on here?
They were playing Arsenal, guys, so just be a bit easy, man.
No, they. I don't know.
Just before you go into it, Nick, their last 4 games, so they've won 1 game in their last 5. They've drawn 2, lost 2 back-to-back. I mean, under the Roman Abramovich era, this is sackable. This is a sackable offense. So,
listen, I personally, if I do feel for Potter in a way, I do think it is a good squad. However, it's not his squad, so he can always fall back on that. And unfortunately, they made the decision. He's, the owner's got to live with it now, and Potter took the job. Potter could have stayed with a Brighton team that is trying to break that top 7, top 6 mold. But I don't know. I don't think there's chemistry. I think there's some really good players, but I don't think they all fit in the same team. And I don't think Aubameyang is that number 9 that they were looking for, to be honest with you. I think they they don't have 30 or 20 to 30 goal season striker. And as good as Aubameyang is, I think he can be a little bit of a bad apple when he wants to be.
Yeah.
And I think Potter is going to, he's going to live by, what he says, live or die by what he says, and what he tries to do and instill in this team. And he's got a specific way he wants to play. And, I would like to say give him time. But unfortunately at Chelsea, you don't get time, even though it's a new era now. But I think
the thing is, from the timing perspective, I think the fans are also not used to having time, so that they're used to this instant success. So the only reason they're not turning on Potter as things stand is because he's an English manager. But deep down, that resentment will build, and there's only a matter of time before the fans start turning on the manager, and then the owner has a big choice to make, because if he doesn't get rid of him, then he becomes a bit of a Glazer situation.
I do also think that he needs to probably change his ways. He's this guy in the media who's Mr. Nice in the Premier League. He's cool, calm, and collected. He's quite boring to watch on the side of the field. Whereas if you look at all the top six managers, they've got a bit of something about them. Potter. I was listening to someone speak about it the other day, and he doesn't, like, he shows like no emotion on the side, and I do think maybe that might be filtering down to the players, and maybe he's got more of a scientific approach where sometimes you need that Jurgen Klopp or that Jose Mourinho fire there on the side of the field to really rally your players, because sometimes that is the kickstart or the trigger that will stimulate the players and get them to play for you. So he's learning. This job is massive in comparison to what he's had, and I do wish him all the best, but I do think he's going to fall back on the fact that he hasn't selected this squad and he'll need time. And whether or not he gets it, I'm not so sure. But it's not likely that they'll be in the top four come Christmas. No, I don't think they can be in the top four. One game before Christmas, and
they can't be it. And I think you've touched on the Aubameyang situation. When you look at it, when last have you heard of a Chelsea side only scoring 17 goals? That's where they're sitting right now. They've scored 17 goals and they've conceded 16 goals. I mean, right now it's to the point of a guy who's just trying to find his way and trying to see what he can do. And the problem is, when you're trying to figure it out, the players can sniff that, they sense that, and they know, hey, he doesn't really know what he's doing. Do we believe him? So we're not going to go out there, and it's only a matter of time before he leaves. Wonga, don't you think that Nick over here is going for the Graham Potter look, though? Give this man a polo neck, and he looks like he belongs in the Stamford Bridge dugout.
Nah, man, take it easy, guys. Take it easy. Take it easy.
Yeah, there we go. Poom's saying the positive is he's not wearing those ridiculous polo necks. It's because he's been sent. He sent them to Nick, Poom. So watch out next show. Maybe
wearing a polo neck. Come on. Yeah, but
right, gents,
what I would say is just to end off on maybe the top six and the so-called top six. I don't think it's ever been as threatened as it is right now, if I'm honest with you.
I agree.
I'm not just saying because of Newcastle. I'm saying a resurgent Brighton, a West Ham that's been there and thereabouts. Generally, it's only one team per season.
Wait, sorry, who was that last one? Did you say West Ham?
Well, no, I'm saying West Ham did it in the last 2 seasons.
West Ham are struggling at the moment. Yeah, they're struggling.
No, but I'm saying in general, it's always one team that sort of throws the cat amongst the pigeons. But now you've got two, if not potentially three, by the time the new year comes. There's some teams that are at real threat of missing out on Champions League football, but potentially missing out on European football altogether. All the London teams in the Premier League went out. The only London team of the Cup last night. I mean, if there was a trophy that Spurs need to win, it's either the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup, because they're not going to win anything else.
Well, we'll chat about the Spurs sort of prospects. We'll get to that in terms of, it looks like the Spurs fans are turning on Conte, but we'll get into that just now. With regards to just discussing breaking the top six, when you're looking at the likes of Brighton, you're looking at the likes of Fulham, both those sides have scored more goals this season to date than Man United and Chelsea. So that's also quite telling when you're going, okay, I understand clubs are going through transition, but in this tournament, in the league, you've got to be scoring goals to be climbing, and that's why Brighton's sitting 6th and then Fulham are sitting 9th, just under Liverpool at the moment in time. So
and that just shows you also, Brighton lost 4 games in a row after Potter left, and they're still there. I think they are above Chelsea. I think they are above Chelsea.
They are. Or just on goal difference. On goal difference.
And that just shows you what good of a start they had. And it looks like the wheels turning for the new manager there. So, if I'm a Man United, a Liverpool, or a Chelsea fan, even a Spurs, because their recent performances have been pretty poor, I would be a little bit concerned, because it's going to be a straight shootout for 2 spaces for like between 6 teams at the moment. If you look at it that way, it's a straight shootout.
Yep.
No,
fair enough.
So it's going to be hectic.
Shout out there to Dia in the comments. We noticed that, love, and we appreciate that, love. Obviously, the next one we need to be looking at is you got yourself the Red Devils. Like I said, not so much of a good evening there for them on Saturday. Or was it?
Yeah, I think got the result wrong Sunday. There, but the result looks wrong.
Yeah. Yes, no, we'll amend that ASAP. But Wonga, take us away. What do you think happened in this game? Because we all predicted Man United victory.
Yeah. In fact, I watched the game, and every goal that every time Villa scored, I thought, okay, they scored the first goal, and I thought, Man United will still come back. It's maybe they've just unsettled them. No, it's not a problem. They'll come back, and they didn't. Honestly, and many people, I think, the question I think the Man United fans are asking themselves, and I also kind of asked, I don't know what's happening, but Ronaldo, it always be looked at because, of what happened, and now he's playing, but now they need the goals, and he's not scoring.
They not captained him.
No, they did. He was a captain.
Yeah. They also captained him.
They should have captained him long ago. They did what they did with him, and now he's captain. Do you not think that sends mixed messages, though?
It's weird what's happening, and all the so what it looks like now, it's like from the outside, it looks like Ronaldo threw a tantrum, and then everyone's like, that child, in the shop that throws a tantrum, and then you just like, okay, you just give him the sweet, so he just keeps quiet, that's what it looks like happened, from the outside if you're looking at it, and that's what I've seen from most of the fans that are complaining about the situation is that, oh look, he's just throwing a tantrum, and now, now he started the past couple of games after his suspension, and now they've gone up and they've captained him as well, So it's from the outside again. I say it looks concerning. I still do not doubt the guy's capability. But Man United fans, I'm trying to think from their perspective. They are doubting, they are doubting, and they have reason to as well, because Aston Villa is a team they should have beaten, and he did have I think he had one clear opportunity. You can call it clear. It was a header, and he did not manage to put in the back of the net. But them playing as a team, I just don't know. They were defending well these past few games, and then this Sunday they didn't look like the Man United that I was watching. It just looked like things were falling. It looked like they were going back to the beginning again. Yes. Now you see, that's what I forget. Bruno Fernandes, yes, he got that yellow card, and maybe he was the difference. It could have been because sorry, Claude.
Go.
When they were playing the week before, they were playing the Europa League, and the way they were playing, every time they got the ball in the middle, Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes, they were trying to hit the ball over the defense for the strikers to come in come in and give headers, and that for me works very well for Ronaldo. That's all he wants. He just wants deliveries. But in that game, it was hardly happening. Crosses were coming. They weren't trying to get balls in from the middle. They were literally trying to cross on the wing if they managed to get a few in. But nothing was going to the designated man, which was Ronaldo. Another thing I don't know if I don't follow Man United that much, but Ilanga for me is a dangerous player. I would play that guy week. I know they're playing Gurunchao now, or I don't know what his name is. Yeah. Ilanga for me still starts before him. I can't lie to you. He looks more threatening. And when he came on, the runs he was making in there, he almost got one in, but he just I think the first touch let him down. But I don't know what the Man United fans say about it, but for me, definitely, if I'm starting Ronaldo, I'd definitely play Elanga next to him. Elanga, Rashford, Ronaldo. I think that will get you results in the match.
They need a striker. I think that's the biggest. I think they need a out-and-out striker.
Nick, you've been singing Ronaldo's praises week in, week out. They've got, like I said, 18 goals all season, and they're not getting goals out of Ronaldo. Why, Nick? What do you do here? What's going on? You saying they need a striker now?
I can only imagine. I can only imagine that Ronaldo scored all those goals last year because they were playing a style of football that potentially suited him better. Eric Ten Hag's come in where it's more of a demanding, style of football from for everyone in the starting 11. So he can't just be a mercenary upstairs or at the top of the field waiting for the ball to score goals. So potentially that hasn't worked in his favor. I don't think the fact that he never even had a proper preseason has helped him. And I think he's just stunk the place out, to be honest with you. Or if it's not him stinking the place out, I think it's Eric Ten Hag or the person who's making decisions at the top. Because this should have gone as long as it has. He didn't go to Australia. That was the first red flag. He didn't go on their preseason tour. Get the guy out of the club. He doesn't want to be there. The coach probably doesn't want him, or he's not going to be the main man. I think Man United have themselves to blame. And I think, I don't know, Ronaldo probably should just get on with it, but I don't know. I do think Ronaldo deserves respect because of what he's done in the game. But I also just think that Man United, again, have proven that they can't deal with these situations. They spend poorly. They don't know how to manage their players. They give contracts to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and random appointment in Ralf Rangnick, and I don't know. It's a weird situation there. It's a big club with. Let's just focus on the situation on the weekend, right? So to your point, they didn't handle the Ronaldo situation really well in terms of. You're right. They should have kicked him out before the season started. They gave Ten Hag this issue to deal with. Seemingly on paper. Yeah, they should have let him do that. Yeah. He wanted to do that. Well, Ronaldo was a hot potato. They literally just said, okay, Ten Hag, it's your problem.
Yeah.
But Ten Hag, he wanted to deal with it, or he didn't want to deal with it. He has dealt with it, but now he's kind of undermined himself by treating him the way he's treated and then making him captain and then starting him.
He suspends him. He suspends him. He trains
which
with
was
the
cool.
Everyone,
no one had
no. He
suspends him.
But then the next thing he's training with the first team again. He's on the bench.
Yeah.
The next game he's starting and he's captain. What the?
Yeah, exactly. This is tantrum throw. That's what it looks like.
Imagine you a player in that dressing room, a young player in that dressing room, thinking, "What the fuck is going on here?" I have no idea.
But we got someone here, new viewers. Dane Gaming 0305 says, if you're Ronaldo, what do you have to do to have a good career ender? And I've got an answer. I don't know what you guys think about the answer to that question.
It's a World Cup.
Thank you, Wonga Denga. You got your answer, Dane. Gents, we're going to move on from the Man United situation, and we're going to cover the next team, the team that is more specific to someone at the bottom of our screen here.
These.
Oh yeah.
Buzzing horses, yeah.
I mean, Nick, what's going on here, boy? Some more 4 goals there, and all of a sudden your boy gets called up to the England squad, which, by the way, we will be talking about the World Cup English squad later.
Sure. Guys, but before you start, Nick, wait. I've said it every single time, Oaks. Since last year, I said, Oaks, if you ever make a bet, good odds, go to Newcastle to score 2 goals. I've always said this. Since those guys last year, and literally it's been keeping true.
I think the biggest thing for me is just the period since Eddie Howe's taken over. Last year, he's achieved 71 points. That's comfortable in a Champions League spot.
100, you're right.
So he's got 71 points just this year in 2022, and there's still
the team he has, Nick.
3 games
and he's
left.
But he's
with
come
the
out.
team he has.
He could have dreamed big. He's already saying dream big, Nick. You're getting scared. He's saying dream big. Go along with him on the ride here.
Yeah.
With
I
the
would just
team he
like
has.
So he's very cool, calm, and collected in his interviews, and he doesn't like to answer the questions about are we in a chase for the Champions League. But that's also mind games. So I think he is quite clever in the sense where he potentially my screen is flashing. Sorry, guys. He's potentially maybe just trying to cover himself if it doesn't happen. But surely in their technical team meetings, the coaching staff, they're saying, we're in this now, By Christmas, we're going to be in a top 4 spot. That's like the turn of the season.
There's already, the gossip column, they've already set aside £80 million in Jan, just in case he needs to go get out whatever he needs to go get out. £80 million just casually waiting. That must be lovely as a manager to go. You got Klopp on the other hand saying, hey, we can't compete with these guys. You got Eddie Howe, to your point. He's achieved 70-something points in the case of a year. Now they're going, hey, you know what? You're doing well. He has an extra so-and-so just to go spend that.
Yeah.
Just go.
and it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they go and do. I'm sure he's got a keen eye on the World Cup, but knowing Eddie Howe and his scouting team and coaching staff, they've got targets from like since he's taken over. I think they really track the progress of these players. So it's not going to be based on someone scoring 5 or 6 goals in the World Cup. It's going to be based on like months and months of tracking of these players. So I just like the way we've been doing things, and it's a complete opposite to what we've experienced. So I think it's refreshing in that sense.
Nick, if they are going to go out and get one player in Jan that can make the difference or elevate the team just a little bit to cement, to concrete, get that 4th spot across the line, who would that one player be?
I think would be a goal-scoring midfielder, a number 10 of some sorts.
Hey, Coutinho's chilling at Aston Villa just in case
listen, you've got Jolinton who plays as I would call it an 8.5, but he plays as a 10. But he's more of the dynamic cruncher, enforcer in the midfield. Bruno can play 6, 8, or 10, but if you get a top class number 10, you're going to find a spot for Bruno in a deeper area. And that just adds depth. We played the Carabao Cup last night, and unfortunately, we don't have much depth. We've got much better depth than what we've had in the past. But I do think with Isak coming back, say Maximum coming back, and then you add another midfielder, I do think we need 2 players. I think we need a left-sided winger, and I think we need a midfielder. That's if that would be at the top of my agenda.
Your wish list. And you haven't gone looking, that's fine. Eddie Howe's not going to call you for that, but he counts on your support. Wangadenga, when you're looking at this, poor Newcastle, not poor Newcastle. Newcastle went there and got poor Ralph Ragnick fired. Making Liverpool's life easier this weekend. But,
Yeah.
No, it's not Ralph Ragnick, it's Hussein Hartel.
Yeah,
Hussein Hartel, my bad.
Yeah.
Those are 2 names that confused on the show. Yeah, Hussein Hartel. I forgot. I didn't pronounce it correctly. Who's the
Nathan Jones.
I don't know what Southampton's plans are, but
no, they just got a manager from Luton. Luton's head coach Nathan Jones has just taken over.
Yep.
Oh, I see. Yeah, look, maybe they've been looking at it a long time. But Newcastle, I would not. I don't think it comes off that decision. Newcastle are a team that's flying, to have beaten them would have been one heck of an achievement for Southampton. But look, I'm enjoying Newcastle at the moment. Sure. The times of, wasn't even long ago. Steve Bruce. Newcastle, you write them off every single time. What the heck? You'd even wonder how they got their supporters. The way they were playing. How do you support them? But
no, I'm
pretty sure.
I'm not too sure if you guys watched the game, but it was probably one of our poorer performances of the season. Eddie Howe actually alluded to it. He said, "Listen, that was in terms of performance, probably one of our poorest. But the fact that we could still score 4 goals and win the game proves that there's something there, The team knows how to get results. So, and Claudio, there's games when you won the Premier League, towards the end after COVID, you guys were just getting the job done. It was almost like the guys were programmed. just get 3 points
Well,
to the next
that's
game.
the place
Exactly.
they want to be. That's
Next game.
exactly where you want to be.
Yeah.
Where sometimes you
Yeah.
can turn up as a fan and you're watching it, and this is a shit game, but the result's going to be there, and you go, well, I'll take
But
that, and that's a good
Yeah.
place to be.
and you see, like that's the thing with what Eddie Howe has done. That's why I say, or like Nick is saying, 71 points, and it's straight. It's straight from Steve Bruce. There was no one in between, no new signings. It is straight from Steve Bruce. I mean, okay, yes, you got your Bruno coming in,
No,
but I
no,
mean,
he spent
that's
200 million Wonga. Let's also not shy away from the fact there. He has spent a little bit.
Okay,
It's
wait,
not
but
exactly that he's got
it's-
in there with an empty pocket.
But
No, but
listen,
look,
listen, we have
it's-
spent. To be fair, we've spent. We're not even in the top 6 for spending, eh? So just
But you
let's
see-
be clear.
I'm not
But look-
comparing him.
yeah,
to
but
others.
look at
I'm
the-
just
you
saying
can't-
he
I
hasn't
mean,
gone to
what
the
does
dinner
Wood do?
table without food on his plate? Is all I'm
Nah,
saying.
no.
Okay, he's
fair
got
enough.
Trippier. He's got the Bruno. I mean, who do you really count on when he played yesterday? He didn't do.
But what I
do
would say,
much.
and like just
But-
to agree with Wonga, in our last performances, we had from the era of Steve Bruce, we still had Joe Willock, we still had Sean Longstaff, we still had Callum Wilson, we still had
Almiron.
Jacob Murphy, and we still had Almiron. So, that was just the last game. So, yes, he's changed the whole back line and goalkeeper, which we probably needed to. But sorry, he had Fabian Schur as well. So 6 out of 11 plays. It's not terrible. Steve
No,
Bruce
it's
still
not.
had tools. He still had tools.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I agree
Steve
with
Bruce
you.
is
Well,
a useless.
we're gonna talk
But
about
my
the other
biggest
guys.
my
and you
biggest
keep
worry,
going, yeah?
guys, my biggest worry is if England fail at this World Cup, I don't see any other coach that they can go for other than Eddie Howe. To be very frank,
And
I
they're
hear what
gonna
you mean.
fail. So
They will fail.
that is my biggest worry. Because as a manager, how do you
What do you
give
mean?
up?
Thomas Tuchel's thrown his
opportunity?
name into the ring. He's already come out saying he'll take the job.
Yes, but he just fights with everyone. Do you think they're going to give a German the job?
It would be
I don't
funny if a German won the World Cup for England. Imagine that.
Yeah, that would be slightly ironic.
Anyway, gents, we're
Yeah,
going to move over
no.
to the next team, and that is my beloved side.
Oh, I haven't seen them in a while.
results.
Oh, they're down there. Every time I look at the log, it's top half, and I just see the top half. I
Enjoy
forget
the
about.
top while you're up there, because the ball is it can be quick, sir. Just ask me. So, I mean, we're going to just touch on this game. I don't know if did the two of you watch this game by any chance?
No, I did not watch this Liverpool
You
game.
didn't watch it, Nick? You didn't watch it?
I did watch.
Oh no, I did
watched
see. Yeah,
bits-
no, I saw
watched
parts
bits
of
and
it.
Pieces.
I s-
I did think. I did think
Yes.
Spurs again. They start the game in the second half, and I think they actually had a couple of decent chances in the second half. But I do think Liverpool were the better team all in all. But it looks like Liverpool get really G'd up for the big games, and in the smaller games
Yes.
they seem to. Is it an element of complacency? I don't know.
I think it's something that firstly is entrenched in their DNA, because before Klopp came in, that's what they were good at, the big games, and terrible in the smaller games. So they always showed up for that. So that they're not afraid of. I do think a lot of the players are cognizant of the fact that the World Cup is around the corner. And I think I spoke about this a bit last week, in a sense of going, well, the reason they did well in the Champions League up to this point is because they were still competitive in the Champions League, and there's still something to get out of it. In the Premier League, they've started slow, and it just feels like it's been an uphill battle. And, they haven't been able to get the car firing, so to speak. So they've been jump starting it. And I think this World Cup is a welcome break, because it gives them time to switch off, and then they can come back fully focused for the rest of the season. So that is the benefit side. But I think when we look at the game in particular, Liverpool came out that first half, to the point, Nick. Yeah, they worked better. They got their 2 goals. They wrapped it up, and then they hung on to it. So, yes, Spurs came out firing second half. But it was also Liverpool were sitting deep and waiting for the counter-attack. And it always gets tricky in that second half when you are welcoming when you are welcoming the opposing side to attack you. You're always going to have an opportunity to counter, and you're going to have 1 or 2 moments. And Salah had a moment, and after that moment, you knew, it's just going to be a bit trickier. They got to really lock down our full defense, because they didn't take that chance that they could have killed the game off, and it just gave Spurs a little bit more, impetus to go forward. But in the end, I mean, the conversation's really got to be had about Conte and them getting booed at half time, and then going exactly what I said before Conte came in. No one was happy with Mourinho, but now they got a second-grade Mourinho in there, And now they're still not happy. And they got knocked out of the English Cup last night. So what are they going to win? What is there to win for Spurs? They signed Conte as the man to win trophies. But what trophy is going to win this season?
Nah, I just hear excuses all the time.
Yeah.
You know, his excuses were very similar to what he was, you know, to what he was saying against when he lost against Newcastle, but then he just words them differently when he loses the next game. And now I heard yesterday is like, we lost the game because it's impossible to play so many games in so many days. And I'm like, bro, everyone has to do it. Like, I do understand.
He plays Kane, and he says, no, Kane was fatigued. Kane was tired. But then why did you play the player last night in a result that you're going to lose? So I think he's also struggling. I think he's been put in a situation he's never found himself before. In a situation where the club is actually struggling.
He's got to give answers.
Yeah. And the players that he's got aren't as good as the ones he's had previously. Yeah, he's got one or two really great ones. And also, Pum's commented on the Chelsea injuries. I know Liverpool have had their injuries. Spurs, you know, Kulusevski's a massive player for Spurs. Son, massive player. These are two players they can't afford. Arguably, you would say if Newcastle and Arsenal had the same sort of luck when it came to injuries, they probably wouldn't be sitting up there with regards to their key players. So, you know, that's one point where you can look at from a Spurs perspective. But I think you've got, and Pumas, we're gonna speak about this English lineup, but he's already coming out saying, how does Dyer make the team after that rubbish he dished out against Liverpool? That's a fair thing. But with regards to Virgil van Dijk, gentlemen, I know he's asking the question, can Virgil defend? And before I answer anything, what do you two think? Can Virgil defend?
Yeah, I think Virgil is a top class defender, and he showed that. I don't know what's happening now. Maybe you'll know a bit more, Claude, because I'll be honest with you. When I see a Liverpool team failing, I get excited. I don't really analyze much about it. I'm just happy that the goals are going in. I'm being honest. I'm just happy the goals are going in. But yeah, and the Liverpool has been changing it a lot. That combination, you know, at the back. So I don't know, and I never watched the game. So maybe you're referring to something particular. And I mean, look, I mean, like I'll just go back to like a William Saliba. He's been defending well this Premier League campaign, but come yesterday they changed his partner and I mean the other two guys as well, and the whole defense, you know, fell apart.
Exactly.
I mean, we ended up
nail on the head there,
but yeah.
man. There we go. That's a nail on the head. I mean, it's something he's been forced with. The only thing consistent, Pums, when you're looking at it and you're saying, can he defend? He's the only centre half who is a permanent fixture in that starting lineup. So it's always easier to have two good centre backs who get that relationship, get that partnership, and that's something that hasn't been consistent for him for many reasons this season. Plus, you know, the whole team has been underperforming. So then obviously when goals are scored, it's always easier to look at the defenders. It's always easier to look at, you know, the goalkeeper, so to speak. People tend to forget about the attackers missing one or two opportunities, and it always gets focused there. So, yes, a lot of pressure. But I think he's also had, to be fair, this is what I think, and I think he's had his eye on the World Cup, and he didn't want to pick up any injuries. It's not an excuse, but it is something coming for when you've come from a serious knee injury and you've come back and you know the World Cup's around the corner. That is a bit of a priority, and that's the stuff up with this World Cup being placed the way it's been placed with regards to Qatar. Jason's saying Nick probably thinks Lascelles is better.
Jason's just an idiot. But yeah, my feeling towards the defense of Liverpool, I don't think they've got enough protection in front. To be honest, I think I've said it to you already, Claudia. I think you're lacking in the midfield, and I think the engine room of Liverpool when you guys won the league was so intense. Your pressing from the front was so intense that it almost made it a lot easier for the back line to do what they do. So obviously they're a bit more exposed in other areas of the field, which naturally makes your backline exposed. So he's a world-class defender. I think Klopp just has to sort out what's in front of him, to be honest with you, and hopefully for your sake you can get a little bit of money to spend, and those reinforcements can come in.
Well, yeah, let's talk about what's in front of for Klopp. He's come out saying he's not worried about FSG putting Liverpool up for sale. Wonga, what are your initial thoughts when you saw this?
Yeah, I'm not trying to figure out. I mean, why? I mean, they're on a good. Okay, I mean, yeah, the team has done well since. I mean, the guys have come in, but maybe then that's, if you think about it, that's
Jason,
probably
dream
it.
on. Please just tell Jason Bellingham is not coming. Claudio even admitted it.
Yeah.
When did I admit it? I said it's going to be a tough shout, but you never know
Just
what's going to
back me,
happen.
back me,
Apparently,
back me.
Liverpool have pulled in front of the
Look,
conversations. It's all about Klopp sending a big hug. Maybe he sent a personal hug in a box there. Like one of those miniature versions of him that gives him a hug saying, "Hey, come to the club." Although that might be a bit creepy, but it might be something he's into. Who
Yeah.
knows? Wonga, where were you?
look. I think maybe. I mean, if it's just business for them, then it does make sense. Liverpool or or what they were league winners. They definitely, I mean, compared to what they were before, they back to what they were in the past in terms of best in Europe, because now they've actually clinched that league title. And now you would say, I mean, they've got Jurgen Klopp, one of the best managers in the world, as their manager. You would say that they've reached their peak of the powers. Do they go back up there again? And I think maybe they're just trying to get. I would say they probably valued more than I never looked at it, but they definitely probably valued more than what they were when
Yeah.
these
So
guys
at the
pulled in.
moment, so they bought the club. They bought the club for 300 million pounds. They haven't taken. They're not like the Glazers taking dividends or anything. They
Three
haven't
hundred
taken
million
any.
pounds.
Yeah, that's how much they bought Liverpool for. They haven't taken any money out of the
Hectic.
club, but they've obviously spent a lot in terms of whatever the club's made, generated the money, and they've built the new stand. They're developing the other stand. They've obviously rebuilt up the academy as well as spending the players that they've spending the money that they've sold on the players and bought new players, the likes of Van Dijk, Allison, and. But now they're sitting at the point where they're going to sell the club for, or the asking price at least is at least 4.5 billion. So that's
This
a
is
healthy or prospective sort of profit. And when you're looking at these guys going, we've set up this Moneyball approach, something that's very successful in the US. We've come now here to the Premier League. The Saudis have come in and bought Newcastle. We already know how Man City are playing the game, and PSG and the likes of. They were banking on the financial fair plays, were these owners. And they're not getting that. So now they're going, okay, well, we've seen what's happened to this club. It's a quick drop off. And now to
yeah.
all of a sudden be competitive, Jason mentioning Jude Bellingham, a player, Jude Bellingham, Wonga, you were here last week saying 130 million pounds are going to be bargain for Jude Bellingham. And these are the sort of prices that have escalated and where the benchmark is for these prices because of this oil money. So they've come in
Yeah.
going, well, we don't really want to be spending that money. We had a good place to sell that and get possibly someone else because this isn't going to be regulated and it's only going to inflate even more. So the likes
Exactly.
of your Newcastles and Man Cities, and that's where they're at. So, I mean, I suppose it makes sense. But from a Liverpool perspective, I don't think many Liverpool fans can complain. I know a lot of guys don't like FSG and because they've said they've let them get to the point they've got it into now. But the fact of the matter is, it's arguably one of Liverpool's most successful periods in their history to date. At least it is within the Premier League area alone. So they can't be too upset. And I think it's going to be a tricky situation where, yes, Jason, again, talking about oil money, but you don't know what kind of oil money is going to come in or who's going to run that. Is it going to be better, really? So I think the best case scenario would be them getting investors to give them a little bit more money, to let them run so they can spend. That is an option, yes.
But and I think isn't
that's
that
the option I would
primary?
sign off on.
But isn't that their primary option? I think their primary option, when I read their statement, was they welcome in potential investors. But now I'm reading a lot of different conflicting stories that there's brochures going out to different bankers and auditing firms where they sort of determining the value of the club to sell the club outright. So I don't know if you could give us some clarity on what are they actually looking for? Because it seems as though they're open to
initially that's what my thought was. My thought was going, okay, cool. They're going to look for investors because they're doing a good job here. But I'm thinking realistically, they don't want to be part of this game anymore because they can't play this game. The game they know really well is the US game, the Moneyball game, the game that they're already involved in from a baseball perspective and a hockey perspective.
Now so to speak, allegedly,
NBA team as well as a possible what's the other one? It's NBA and
NFL.
NFL. So those are two franchises apparently that they're going to be opening up. So apparently they want to take this money that they collect from here and buy one of those franchises. And to me, as a business person, when I'm looking at it, that makes more sense for them than to stay at Liverpool and go, cool, I'm going to keep trying to compete with this. Whereas at least they know how to manage that and they're all there.
Yeah.
So that's all of a sudden where I go. Initially, when I read the reports, I'm like, oh, that makes sense because they're going to get more money. They're going to be able to help buy the players that he wants, and then they can keep moving forward. And then when I've read these other things, I'm going, well, that doesn't make sense. They want out, and they're just putting feelers out there. So,
It's
I
like
mean,
Jason says,
saying,
I agree with him.
yeah, what does he say? He says probably at the highest valuation, Saul, before Klopp's contract expires, and we need to rebuild. Exactly. And they can see, and here's the thing. They haven't taken any money out of the club, but the rebuild already, if you're just talking Jude Bellingham, is 100 million. That's for one player. So realistically, when we're looking at it, you're going to need 2 or 3 of these players. So how much is that? It's going to be the same price for what they bought the club. 300 million for 3 good players.
It takes long to get that back.
Yep, it does. It does.
But I mean, yeah, like you said.
I think also Chelsea being sold for the amount of money they got sold for probably turned their heads. The Liverpool owners saying, well, you know, if Chelsea can go for this amount, what can Liverpool go for? Let's just cash in and get out of here. But I just don't think it's as simple as just selling outright. I think it might be a longer process. So, I mean, Jason talking about the Arabs coming in and buying outright, it might not be as simple as that. It might be, you know, for the next year and a bit, that they get investors to continuously help them run the club and invest to keep them to the point to where they're potentially challenging for trophies. And then maybe the sale will eventually follow through maybe 12 months from now, 18 months from now. I don't know, Claudio. I don't know if you agree with me.
Yo, I'm back, Gus. I'm back.
See, he's kind of gone to 8th position and his things deteriorated.
I just spoke for like 5 minutes directed at you, asking you a question. You never heard it.
What did you say?
No, all in all, I'm saying I don't think it's as easy as Liverpool just selling the club in the next couple of weeks. I think it might take a little bit longer. Therefore, the opportunity for investors to come in is probably the more likely possibility for the right now situation. So, like Jason's saying there, that bring the Arab money, and I don't think a sale will go through right now. So I think that
but also the Arab money, there's very few and far between. I think realistically, when we're looking at the candidates there's the only real possibility are the Dubai group, which tried to buy the club back in 2010. But apparently when they inquired about it and they said, cool, well, that's fine. Let's put money on the table and let's legitimize the money and see the books. They weren't able to produce those sort of records. So that's where the deal falls short. So it's probably likely that they're going to keep it within the American consortiums and see who wants to come in there and invest and possibly take over, or like a Todd Bowley sort of situation. So that's,
I also think American is more likely. American investment.
That's the thing. Right, gents, we're going to talk World Cup right now, and obviously the news. We know teams are coming out with their selections, and your boy Nick, Gareth Southgate, your team, has come out with his squad list. Wonga, I don't know if you've seen the squad.
I saw they was going to announce it today, but I never saw the squad, to be honest with you.
He has.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I never saw it. I was still busy.
A couple of question marks, but probably the right squad. Probably the right squad.
So we're just gonna share my screen quickly. Just give me a second, and then we can discuss this. So Wonga Denga, there you have it. We're looking at in goals. You got Jordan Pickford, which is expected. I think the goalkeepers are pretty standard. Am I right, Nick? You got Pickford, Pope, Ramsdale. Those are 3 good names they covered there. I think those are 3 good goalkeepers. Defenders. The first name there, right back. For me, I'm hugely disappointed by this. Alexander-Arnold being in there. I wanted the man to stay at home, just practice his one-on-one defending, learn. Yeah, that's all I wanted him to do, to be honest. You got Connor Cody in there. You got Eric Dyer. Based on Pum's comments saying, yes, the man's not in form. Why is he here? Harry Maguire is in the squad. Luke Shaw, John Stones, Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, and Ben White. I think Ben White is completely justified. Kyle Walker's injured, so it is a bit of a risk. Midfielders, you got Bellingham, no-brainer. You got Conor Gallagher. You got Jordan Henderson. Played any football this season? I don't know. You got Declan Rice.
Phillips.
Yep. And then you've got up front, you got Phil Foden. You got Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, James Maddison, Marcus Rashford, Saka, Sterling, and of course Wilson. Right, gentlemen,
Oh, Wilson.
what do you think?
Wilson. Callum. Ah, that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah,
No, I
I
think it's
think
good.
the one that stands out, the two that actually stand out is Conor Gallagher making the team. I thought, listen, I do think he's a great player. I thought he would have needed to stay at Crystal Palace to potentially get a chance because he's been a bit part player at Chelsea, but he's worked with Conor Gallagher through the age group. So I do think potentially, he sees something that possibly we don't. I don't think Jordan Henderson should be there, but I do think from a leadership point of view, him and Maguire are probably in the squad for that specific reason. Although I think Harry Maguire will start. Calvin Phillips, I'm scratching my head. He's played 56 minutes this season. 56 minutes. I just don't understand it, to be
Oh,
honest.
yeah. How did he make it?
Um, and then the comment that that was just said by Pums, Tomori from AC Milan just won the Serie A. And when I look at the defenders, I do think there is a place for him there.
Yeah,
In
100%.
potentially Harry Maguire replacement. But
Yeah.
all in all, it's not a bad team. I do think Reece James obviously fell short. He would have probably been here. And Ben Chilwell, also from Chelsea, unfortunately, is out.
I mean,
But
Pum's comments saying
Jason's talking
Serie
about
A.
an injury-prone striker. Injury-prone striker. Okay, Jason. He had one injury last year, and he's had a couple of injuries when he was at Bournemouth. So I'm not too sure what you're talking about. But yeah, he's had his issues. But he's there. I don't know. I don't know. Do you have any English strikers there, Jason? I wonder if you
I
could.
mean,
could answer.
Nick, just on the Pum's comment saying Southgate doesn't watch Serie A. I mean, of course, Tammy Abrams the shout. That's the one everyone was expecting, and then the other one is the centre half. I mean, how is Tomori not in the squad when you're looking? He's playing week in week out. He's doing the job at AC Milan, and you've got
Yes.
the likes of Harry Maguire there.
I think Tammy's a tricky one because Tammy had a great season last season, and from what I understand, is he struggled this year or this specific season. So if you are choosing a striker based on form,
Yeah, but hang on, Nick. But he says that. He
That's why.
legitimately says that. Southgate
he
says
does it for
he's come with
specific
Wilson.
positions. He does it for
Yeah.
specific positions. So
But
he doesn't do it for Harry Maguire.
Look how that sounds in the media, in the eyes of the
No,
media, where
100%.
you come out and say,
100%.
I'm picking this player because he's in form, but then or in the other positions. I know James Madison squeaked in there because of his form this season.
Yeah,
But
you can't leave him out. You literally
I don't
can't
know.
leave James Madison out.
For me, I think you can find, and this is no disrespect to you, Claudio, but I think you can find a better replacement for Jordan Henderson and a better replacement for Harry Maguire. And I'm saying specifically
Yeah.
football ability. Football ability.
please, they shouldn't have taken Trent either. I would have been happy with all the Liverpool players being at home. To be honest,
but I think personally Trent's not in this. Trent's in the squad because Reece James fell out. I don't think he makes it if Reece James is available. But if it's based on pure football ability, they both fall out. But I do think they are there specifically for the leadership group that he's created. And it's quite widely known within the English media that he's got a leadership group which is headed up by Jordan Henderson, Maguire, the likes of
Trippier.
Kyle Walker, Trippier, and Harry Kane. So I don't know. I think I do understand what when you say he's got double standards. He speaks about picking players on form, but there's also a fine line where you can't really break up your leadership group, but in essence you can because they're playing poorly or they're not good enough.
I mean, Nick, all I'm thinking though is if I'm Harry Maguire, I'm literally praying to Santa Maria saying, thank you so much that Gareth Southgate thinks I'm his son because I haven't played any football this whole season and I'm going to go out there.
Does Harry Maguire start? Does he start though?
This is my thing.
Maybe he's just there for that role that he could potentially play.
So then who starts? Who
for me, I think that term could be used loosely because I don't think it really matters because I think he's going to pick the same team that played in the final against Italy, and the only change will be Bellingham for Calvin Phillips.
I say
But
Maguire starts.
if it was up to me, I would have in the middle. I would have Kyle Walker. On the left, I would have Stone. Sorry, I would have Stones in the middle. I would have Kyle Walker and Ben White either side of him if he's playing a 3. I would personally not play a 3. I would play a 4, and I would potentially go with Trippier. Trippier, Kyle Walker, Stones, and Luke Shaw. If not that, Kyle Walker at right back, Trippier at left back, and then Ben White and Stones in the middle. That would be my. But Stones is not great either, so it's a little bit tricky.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
That's tricky.
I don't know. Who would you guys choose?
I mean, first and foremost, we know what he's not going to do, and he's not going to change his formation, even though his team's arguably stronger in the midfield and up front than it is at defense at this moment in time. So I would do that, but I mean, I don't really I'm just curious because there's a lot of conversation here. Wonga Dengo, do we really think this team's going to get to the semi-finals at the maximum, the best they can do? Wonga, really?
They can, Claude. I think they would. They're capable of it. There's like a Jude Bellingham. I think I'm looking at just the names there. I think they can do it. If they play the right people, no one gets injured. They've got a Sako who's doing well. Grealish, Madison. I think Madison looks hungry. Wilson looks hungry as well.
That same squad though got to a final 12 months ago. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I think they can, but
they've got it in them. But based on form, I think what you're saying, Claudio, it's true though. Like based on form,
defense.
Can they do it? But the World Cup is 7 games, so if they play a proper tournament style football, this is when you need like a Mourinho to come in the building and say, "Hey, listen, you know how Jake White did with Eddie Jones, bringing in like a master just in the background to assist the group." If I was in Gareth Southgate's shoes, I would get a tournament master to come here and navigate 7 games. That's all you need to do. You don't even have to win all of the 7 games.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Did you guys see how Mourinho's handled his latest case of mutiny on his books?
No.
He's come out saying there's a player who's done something there at Roma, and he's like, "Look, I had 15 great players. They all showed commitment, but one was really poor. He needs to find a new club." I'm not going to mention any names, but in January he's looking for a new club. Classic Mourinho, right, gentlemen? We're not going to do the betting corner this weekend, but we do know there's one tasty game that we can do a quick fire, and that's the Newcastle game. We've got Newcastle versus Chelsea. They are at home. Wonga Denga, quick fire. Let's hear it.
I say 3-1 to Newcastle.
Nick?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I think we'll score 3 goals and Chelsea will probably just score. But 3-0, 3-1. But yeah, probably 3-1.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't think Chelsea will walk away with a loss. Whatever happens, Chelsea will lose that game. That I can guarantee.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Newcastle win. I know I said we weren't going to do it, but I mean, Wolves, Arsenal, Wonga Denga, we're not even going to do that because Arsenal should go beat Wolves. Liverpool should go beat Southampton. I'm assuming this is what you're all going to say anyway. We're not. They should. I think the other tricky one that we need to look at is the Fulham versus Man United one. And the reason why I say this is a tricky one, Man United going to Craven Cottage, tiny little pitch. Fulham have goals in them, 23 goals this season. Man United don't have goals in them, 18 goals. I mean, I suppose the discrepancy is not that great, not that huge, but it's, Fulham can score some goals and bully aside at this moment in time.
Yeah.
So,
and Man United have a couple of World Cup stars, so I don't see a Casemiro putting a leg in there. In a
Ronaldo, do you think he starts Ronaldo this weekend? You think Ronaldo's going to want to do anything?
No, Ronaldo is going to catch a bout of flu around about tomorrow afternoon. So I think he'll be out.
Right, let's see the prediction there, Wonga, and then Nick. Final scores there.
I'll say 2-2 draw.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I also see a draw. I think it will be a frustrating day out for Man United. 1-1.
I'm going to say Fulham victory because they're going to go for it. They've got nothing to lose. Not many of them are going to
Yeah.
the World Cup. A lot of them
Yeah.
are there. Mitrovic wants to show everyone, remind everyone what he does goals and bully defenders. And I think Martinez is going to struggle if he does start. Just because of his, I know everyone talks about his height and he's a great player, but Mitrovic can boss a player if the ball
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting to see. So I'm going to say a 2-1 victory to Fulham. Right, gentlemen, final thoughts before we head out.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it's exciting. The World Cup's coming. I'm a little bit disappointed that the momentum for Newcastle is going to be halted. But after this weekend, I'll be watching their next game at the King Power Stadium in Leicester. So I can't wait. We'll be in the top 4 for that. I've never watched Newcastle while they're sitting in the top 4, so that will be quite exciting.
It's going to be buzzing. It's going to be buzzing.
Yeah.
You better be sharing content with us, Nick, so we can share it on our platforms.
100%.
Wangadenga?
100%.
Yeah. I think I'm happy the World Cup's coming now. I am also just like Nick gutted that it does sort of kill momentum. We have to start basically something new next year, but we do carry on. Only disappointment. I heard Sadio Mane picked up. I don't know how serious it is, but Sadio Mane picked up an injury, and I was rooting for Senegal to go. They still got some quality players, but I'm
Is it
hoping
confirmed? Is he out?
I don't know. There's something I need to double check on that one. But they said he picked up an injury. I think it was yesterday or the day before when Bayern Munich played. But I'm hoping they do something so he can actually play in the tournament, because I think Senegal have a good chance with the team that's going there this World Cup.
I think
they can do something.
Supersport are also hoping that he's going because they got a massive billboard in Midrand on the N1 highway of Sadio Mane. So it will be a little slightly awkward putting in all that money and he doesn't play in the World Cup.
No, but he has to go. Jeez, could you imagine he doesn't go? I mean, Senegal have a real chance. I think from the African perspective, they've got the best chance, really. I mean, I don't know about the others, but that's the one everyone should be rooting for on the continent. Also, shout out there, Richard. You cross-jumping from Survivor to Premier League. I love that. Stick with Liverpool. We'll be all right. Don't worry. It's been some interesting times lately, but we're still in a good way. Wonga, did you finish your final thoughts there?
Yeah, that was my final thoughts. Yeah.
All right.
That was
gentlemen,
for Senegal.
Last weekend of Premier League fixtures, and then it's the World Cup. We'll see everyone then for the World Cup chat.
Yes.
Oh, and if you haven't liked, subscribed, or told your uncle's best friend, I know uncle's pretty specific. Who else should they tell, Nick? Nick's asking for something. Nick, just.
Claudio, you've got like your signal or your network is like a team that's in 8th position. Very unstable. Very unstable.
On that note, just subscribe. Right, everyone, have a good evening. Thank you for joining us.